Good morning, welcome to week 3 of the summer term. Hello to year 1 and year 2 across Highfields and Abbey campus. It's great to have you back here again. We hope you've enjoyed the first couple of weeks of the summer term and we hope you're ready for another week. So, whatever you get up to this week, have a great week. We just want to say a massive well done again to all of you and to all of your grown-ups as well who are working really hard to help you enjoy all of this learning. So keep up the good work. Well done. Now, if you'd like to do some DT with me, keep watching. We're going to do a little bit more on our whale and 3D model project that we've been doing. Okay, so join me for that now. Right, so far we've created one of these, haven't we? We've got ourselves a whale and we've got a lovely water spout that we've added to it. But we want to try and create the whole scene from the front cover. So we're going to look at today just some ideas for how you can start building up your scene and creating the environment that the whale's going to be in. Now, this might be something that you're able to do today, in which case, fantastic. It might be that you get some ideas today and over the course of the week, you start collecting some things to make your scene. Now, I'm going to give you some tips today, but I really want to encourage you to be creative. Have a go at making this your own. If you have a fantastic idea, go for it, okay? So you don't have to do exactly what I do. These are just some ideas and some skills that you could use. Right, let's get going. Let me show you what I want to show you today. Okay, so here's some of the stuff that you might need today. Now, before I talk about it, I just want to say that you don't need all of these bits today. And in fact, I'm going to encourage you to think about the things you already have around the house to have a go at this. Okay, so don't worry if you don't have everything that we need straight away today. But let's talk about it. So it would be helpful to have another one of these toilet roll tubes. You might have to wait a few days for one of those in your family if you don't have one lying around already. I've got some blue tack here. You can make do with tape or glue, but blue tack is going to be really handy today if you've got some. Again, some scissors. Don't forget all the things we've talked about being safe with scissors. Get an adult to help you with those. And a pencil or something that you can write with. So today we're focusing on making our whale become part of a 3D scene. Okay, and what I want to show you today is two techniques to make your scene stand out, to make it 3D. So let's get going, and it will become clear what I mean. First thing I want you to do is find one of these. Okay, now have a watch of this, even if you don't have one of these, because hopefully this will give you an idea for how this can work, even if you don't have one. And I'm going to show you how to make this whale pop up off the ground. So what I want you to do is take your toilet roll tube and cut really carefully so that you've got a hoop made out of the cardboard. Okay, so something like that. Now, this little hoop here is really great because it means that we can start to make things pop off the ground, and that's going to be really helpful for our 3D scene. So there's two things you can do with this. You can keep the hoop like this, okay, and you can stick something to it and it will stand up, and we're going to do that in a moment. But I also want to show you something else you can do with this hoop. Now, if you fold it in half like this, you'll notice that it doesn't stay completely folded, it springs up a little bit, and we're going to make use of this springiness in a moment. So fold it in half like that, and then what I want you to do is fold that in half that way again, squash it down. You'll notice that even when you squash it down, you've still got that springiness, and then each of these two halves, I want you to fold into the middle, okay? So let's take this half here, we're going to fold it into the middle. Okay, and what you should see now is it's starting to look a bit like a spring. So we've got our first bit, our second bit, and then this top bit here needs folding back into the middle like that. Okay, so can you see that we've created a spring type mechanism? And actually, if we squash it all the way down, have a watch, it springs back straight away and it carries on springing. Now, what you can do is attach this spring to the bottom of your whale, and that will make your whale pop off the ground, and it'll make it able to move as well. Now, this is where having some blue tack comes in really handy, because blue tack is great for easily sticking bits together, especially with cardboard, without having to use glue. So you can grab a little bit of blue tack, pop it on the top like that, and stick it to the bottom of your whale. Now, what you'll find out, and it's probably best to just have a go at this, is that depending on which way round you stick it, either that way or sticking it that way, your whale will be facing up or facing down. And you might want to do either depending on what you want your scene to look like. So stick that spring on there, okay? And then you want to take one more piece of blue tack, stick it on the bottom, and squash it on like that. Now, you're going to stick this bottom bit to whatever surface you've got. Now, if you've got a shoebox or something lying around, that would be fantastic because you could create your whole scene inside a shoebox. I'm just creating it on my desk, and I'm fortunate enough to have this lovely blue colour which reminds me of the sea. So let me stick that down and I'll show you what it looks like. Right, bringing the camera down here, can you see now that we've got a whale that's leaping out of the water? Now, at the moment, we can see that spring underneath, and you can see where I've stuck it to the floor and to the whale. But we're going to try and cover up that spring so it looks like the whale is just leaping out of the water. Now, one more thing to notice, you'll remember I said that depending on how you stick your spring, your whale will either be facing up or facing down. And you can see there, look, my whale is facing up quite a lot. So that what's emphasised, what's clearest is the mouth, the front. Right, let's go back to looking at that view from the top. Okay, so you can see that what I've got now is actually an old cereal box. Now, as I was saying earlier, you might not have one of these lying around. So you might have to wait until you have got one, or you can just be creative and see what else you can use. Hopefully this will give you some ideas. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start on the colourful side, and you'll see why I'm doing that in a moment. And what I want to do is create some waves, a big strip across that's going to be our waves. Now, you can do this with a pencil. I'm actually going to show you with a pen, just so it's easier to see on the camera. And as I said, you'll see why we're drawing on this side. So what I thought you could do is you could probably create two types of waves. You could probably create some nice, calm ones, okay, and then that's going to be the bottom where we cut out. Or you could create some really choppy waves like that. Okay, so there are my waves. I'm going to cut them out and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with them. Okay, there you go, you can see my waves. And you can see that I've not worried too much about being completely neat. I've tried to keep my cutting smooth, but the reason that we drew on this side is because even though you can see the lines here, when we turn them over now, you shouldn't be able to see any lines at all. So there's my slightly smoother ones, and there's my choppy waves. And if you want, you can make some adjustments now. You can smooth some bits off. There we go. I just wanted to trim that and make it a little bit more smooth. So there's my waves. Now, you'll remember early on we talked about these rings that we can create from our toilet roll tubes. Now this is where these are going to come in really handy. Because watch, without even having to make a spring, what we can do is we can stick the ring to the back of the waves like that, and hopefully our waves will be stood up. So I'm going to do it with the choppy waves. Again, blue tack, really, really handy here, but you can use whatever you have. So take your waves and you want to stick your blue tack first onto your little ring and then turn that upside down, and with one finger just press it down onto your waves. And hopefully then you should see that the waves stand up by yourself. Now let's assemble that whole scene. I'm going to take my whale back now with that little spring that we created. I'm going to stick that down with my wave in front, and now I'm going to show you what that camera angle looks like from the front. So can you see now that we've got a whale jumping out of the water, and we can't see that spring at all from this angle? If we peek behind, we can see there it is. There's the spring and there's our little hoop that we used. But for now, that looks fantastic. Now you can leave things like that. I think that looks pretty cool how it is, but I would encourage you to be creative. Think about what else you can add in. Think about whether you want to add any waves behind. Maybe you want to do a whole pod of whales. I've seen some of you have talked about making more than one. And maybe you want one of the whales to have its face out, and maybe you want one of them to have its tail in the air like that so you can see the tail. And maybe you want to add some colour to your scene as well. You want to paint your whale, or you want to add some patterns onto your waves to make them more interesting. Up to you, okay? Hopefully though, that little spring and hoop idea has given you some good tools to use to start making this whole scene come together, okay? Right, we will leave it there for now with our DT. Well, thanks for joining me for DT today. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and that's given you a few ideas for how you can start making your very own 3D scene. I look forward to seeing what you create. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you again soon.